And it says we're live. Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome here. Welcome, welcome. We've got a special guest this weekend, and we're really excited to have him on. And he's right. Let me bring Daniel up right quick. Daniel Brady of Daniel Keeping Fish, DKF. Is what
hey
you see
everybody.
on his logo. And Daniel's in Glasgow, Scotland, and he's a hobbyist. And I went ahead and posted his little short bio, or Dee Dee did it for me because I'm not allowed to push buttons in the stream there. So you don't even have to click on the description. You can see it right up at the top of the chat. So welcome, welcome. We love having you, Daniel.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for asking me, Bob. I don't typically do anything like this, but when Mr. Kayla asks, then you come into it. You know?
Thank you. Well, we have an awesome panel, so that's what people come for, not for me, that's for sure. But I appreciate it. Thanks for coming. There's one of our panel members in the chat, Fishmania, doing water changes, so he'll be there in spirit. Okay, thank you. Do you mind telling us just a little bit about your hobby, what you've got going? And guys, his channel is I call it eclectic. He's kind of all over the place, but he ties it all together, and I love that. So it's a little bit of everything for everybody. So.
Right, cheers. Yeah. Well, it's kind of freshwater planted tanks that I tend to do more than anything else.
Yes.
And foremost, I would say that I'm a fish hobbyist that happens to have a YouTube channel rather than a YouTuber. Really, that's you guys, man. That's you personalities. I'm just a wee guy that's enjoying the hobby and started sharing it a way back, and kind of found that I enjoyed making the videos about the fish as much as I did messing about with the tanks, I suppose.
Yeah.
So kept at it, and it's one of those things. I mean, you probably hear it a lot, but it's a wonderful wee thing that we've got. You know, it's a wonderful community that you find eventually, and people are ever so kind about the videos that you're making and the things that you're getting up to and stuff. So it's once you're in, it's hard to get away, maybe a wee bit, eh?
Right. Right. Yeah, we do have a wonderful, supportive community. It's
We do.
awesome. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's what this is all about, isn't it? With fish keeping, it's kind of a way of de-stressing and relaxing and finding that kind of zen place in your life to maybe enjoy something beautiful that you've created. I think, in fact, that's how I got back into it, because I was into fish and animals ever since I was a wee lad. I was always the wee boy that was in the rock pools and up to my knees in the wee streams trying to find creatures to bring home in wee jars and stuff, you know. So for all my childhood, I was into animals, and then probably fell off a little bit when hit my teenage years and a wee bit beyond. So when I met Mrs. DKF and we were expecting our first child, I thought a fish tank would be nice and calming and relaxing for her, since she was, you know, that would maybe have been of a benefit to her. She wasn't too into it at all, but it pulled me back in. So it did, right?
Right. Got you into it.
It got me back into it. Yeah. In fact, when we moved up to Scotland, I think our wee boy he wasn't even one yet, and when we moved up here, I said I'm not leaving my tank behind. So my brother-in-law actually drove down in his car so he could drive back up at 10 miles an hour with my aquarium seat belted into the back seat. Yeah, it was great of him. He was a fantastic guy. Right, good guy.
Stephanie joined us. Welcome, Stephanie. Aquaria Life.
Sorry, and, guys. I was giving the dogs a bath, and then I gave myself a bath.
Oh, no worries. Well,
that was an adventure.
You look good. Thanks. It paid off.
You always I try.
But it brings you back down. It brings the person back down. Do you want me to leave you down, Daniel, or bring you back up?
I don't mind either way, Bobby. I'm easy either way.
I'll leave it down. We've all had a look at you now, and I might bring you back up later. So there's a question there from Chewy that says to ask you about the Platinum Jubilee celebration.
Well, there's plenty been going on up here. Everybody that you speak to is doing something. So my Mrs. DKF, she's actually a childminder. It's one of the things she does. So everywhere in my house there's colouring in and flags and all sorts that the kids have been doing all week long. So it's, it's hard to ignore it, even in the house, though it is. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. People have been good natured about it. It's been well received. I think I saw a video on the TV today. The Queen's kind of carriage. It's a carriage, isn't it? You get pulled by horses, right? It's a very ornate, beautiful carriage, and they'd managed to hologram into the windows the Queen when she was younger, waving as it went by and stuff. It was really cool,
Wow.
really fantastic. Yeah. So, I mean, not everybody's into the royals, aren't they? Not me included, to be honest with you. But you can't get away from it. It feels special when it feels like something cool that's happening.
Right.
Hmm.
I'm more into following the royals than I am like U.S. stars and celebrities, because there's such a long history there. I'm really fascinated with it. So
well, somebody celebrating 70 years of doing anything is to be admired, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. Really.
Yeah, it's does Mr. Brady have a channel? I'm sure they're going to post the link there. It's Daniel Keeping Fish, DKF. All right.
There's so much on that channel that anybody can find something that they're looking for.
Yeah.
That might say something about my attention. It kind of jumps all over the place, maybe.
Well, it's like, we are all like that in a way.
Yeah.
You ever see the meme of the dog when he sees a squirrel and he's like, squirrel.
Yes.
I'm like in the pet shop, no? Plant, fish.
Like, I've never had an interest in goldfish, and what do you come home with but 2 goldfish in a bag? You know.
I think that would be my biggest tip to anybody getting into the hobbies. Leave your credit card at home. Just take what you intend to spend.
I'd have to agree with that.
That's true.
We
You
leave
have to
you
think
there.
about it and then go back and make a second trip.
Well, so I'm 30 miles away from Glasgow. Actually, I'm a wee bit out of the town, and obviously we're being busy. I don't get to go up to Glasgow very often. We don't have any what you guys would call them mom and pop stores, like independent stores around here. We only have like one of the big box stores, which is okay. It is actually quite cool. The staff are good, but a treat for me is if I can get a wee afternoon to drive up to Glasgow and go around all the shops up there. So the credit card doesn't get left behind. That's a long way without telling you.
Yeah.
Do you have aquarium clubs near you?
So there are a couple that used to be a wee drive away. I think they've found it difficult to get restarted after, the last couple of years that we've been to, but that is starting to start back up again, But you generally hear about it through people that in the hobby. We're a bit there's not quite as many of us up here, and we're a bit more spread out, us fish keepers. So we do have clubs, but it's been very quiet of late, actually.
Okay.
We didn't do anything. I mean, I know some of your clubs ended up doing online presentations and stuff like that, and Zoom meetings and stuff like that. But we're a bit behind with that kind of side of things.
Lots of people saying hello to you in the chat. Can you see the chat, by the way?
So I set my phone up there to try and follow it, but it's a skill what you guys do. See, you guys that do the live streaming and you're paying attention to what's going on and what you're saying.
No, you do 2 of them, and you're a lot better than I am.
It's a wee bit of an eye-opener. So I guess I'll just say hi to everybody that's saying hi, and I will try to notice this.
I can pop ones up there that say hi to you and that kind of thing. Underneath the screen, you should be able to see them.
That microphone is pretty rad, if I do say so.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Love it.
Pretty cool. Well, do you know, actually, up to this point, everything I've done on my phone. I never had any fancy equipment at all. But again, because Mr. Kaler asked me to do this, I wanted to make it as good as I could for him. So I've borrowed Mrs. DKF's laptop here, and I bought this microphone. So I've spent the afternoon kind of one of the teenagers taking me through it and helping me learn it and stuff, So, it's pretty cool. It's pretty rad. But I feel like it's a big step as well. That's me moved into having actual equipment.
Do you plan on going live ever on your own channel?
I don't see it, Susie. I don't see it. Like I said, I think it is a skill that you guys. I don't even like going in front of the camera, if I'm honest. I do it occasionally. I'm all quite shy.
I hear that.
Daniel, would you please call me Bob? I'm old enough to be your dad, and I appreciate the respect, but please call me Bob if you're comfortable doing that, because I've always called you Daniel. It makes me feel like I should be calling you Mr. Brady.
Right, no bother. Bob it is.
No. I want you to be comfortable though, so I'm just Bob.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Bob. Cheers.
Or Codfather.
Or Codfather. Don't forget
Or the
that.
Codfather, yep.
It's
I
fun.
have lots of names for Bob, but we'll just call him Bob.
Yeah, Pam's got a whole array of names.
I'm trying to find that mute button for Pam. Yeah.
See, Daniel has an advantage. He has human fry around the house to ask questions. All this newfangled tech stuff.
Well,
have
one of
to
them is
ask the
actually doing
YouTubers.
a sound engineering course at college, so he is. So
Nice.
Oh,
that was
wow.
kind of useful, yeah.
Well, how many babies did you end up having?
Well, so I've got two sons, both teenagers now, but we have we're involved in fostering, so there's always loads of kids about here. Do you know?
Good.
So I used to have a modest fish room in the house, so I did. But when we started doing the fostering a few years back, I lost the room to the fostering. So maybe one day one of these teenagers will get his act together and get his own place, and I can pinch his room to put some more fish in.
There you go.
Yeah,
you
give
go.
them
But
2
there's
weeks
loads of
after
kids
that,
around here.
it's
Like I
yours.
said, Mrs. DKF's the childminder, and we do the fostering, and we've got our kids and stuff, So there's always
nice.
hundreds of kiddies about the place, So
That's awesome.
that's another reason why I wouldn't be doing live streaming unless it was
Exactly.
quite late. In fact, that's why I couldn't live stream in front of my tanks, because I'd like to have done that, but it's right near where the bedrooms are and stuff, So, and it is 1 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. So if anybody from the UK tuned in, good effort. Thanks very much. But yeah, I couldn't really do that and keep everybody awake.
Thank you for staying up late. Appreciate you staying up late. It's awesome.
No sweat. No sweat.
And if anybody has a question, put it in the chat, and panel, to jump in anyway. But we did have a question when I asked the panel for questions last night from Skipper, and I passed that on to you. If you want to talk about it, he asked about water in relation to breeding fish. And I think he means parameters and tips and tricks with the water and that temperature, that kind of stuff. Well, I took that.
Right. Okay. Well, so my water here is there's nothing in it, right? There's no GH, there's no KH. I've kidded on loads of times. I'm surprised it's wet. There's so little in it, So my water's incredibly soft, but I'm also pretty much about a 7 pH coming out of the tap. So that makes life pretty easy for me, because I only have to nudge it a wee bit each way if I'm needing to go in any direction, some catappa leaves and some tannins or whatever to lower it, or some coral sand to bring it up a wee touch. So generally, I don't really struggle to hit any I don't get any wild fish that are needing water like DD 8.4 pH and all scary numbers like that.
Wow.
So I find I don't. And that's another thing. I don't actually set out to breed anything, to be honest with you, because it is so difficult for me to get into stores to hand them in for sale or whatever. And there's not a great many people around here that would take them off me, I don't think. I don't set out to breed anything. What I do is I find fish that I like, that I fall in love with, and I find if I keep them well, you normally find babies happen anyway, or certainly behavior that might lead to a spawn, at which point I might take a wee bit more notice and focus on them a wee bit more. For example, peacock gudgeons. I was doing peacock gudgeons for a little while, and just kind of half-heartedly tossed a very small Pleco cave in, and I did notice that a male was guarding the entrance at one point. So that became, right, I want to make this work now because they're trying to make it work. I might as well help them along, kind of thing, And it was tricky. The first couple of spawns didn't make it, but eventually I figured out, for one thing, you got to keep their eggs in the water. You can't lift them out and let them dry at all. And then I had trying to think what it's called. Like a tube with the air runs through it. Is it an egg bubbler? Egg tumbler. Egg tumbler.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I found that if I placed them in the egg tumbler, I kept them in the water, transferred them, and then put the egg tumbler on very, very gently. So he was just basically passing water through them. I had a successful spawn. So I can't remember where I started this. Oh yeah, water. Right. So I don't really have a battle with anything. I don't really have any struggles trying to hit parameters, and I'm not really a number watcher anyway. Like I say, I'll take care of the adults, and then if I see anything happening, I'll move on from there. But I'm in such a unique position that with my... Sorry, I think it's the cats. I can hear something clawing at the door there. Because here... Do you mind if I just let him in? I'll be 2 seconds.
He's so far away, but this is just like he's right down the street.
I know, right?
know.
Great.
See, if I don't let them in, they would have kept scratching at the doors. I didn't know if that was coming through on the mic. See, yeah. So I don't really have any trouble in terms of managing the water. Where I do have more trouble sometimes is with plants more than with fish, actually.
Mm.
And I get just as excited about a plant as I do with a fish. So one of the ways that I manage that, and I'm probably in a fortunate position because I do have several tanks, is whenever I get a new plant, I'll split them between all the tanks. So even if they don't do quite as well in one, they might do better in another. And I've learned something about that. The environment is going to help me grow that plant, if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So Daniel, do you have to add hardness to your water? Do you have to add any minerals back into your water?
Am I still with you guys? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So
We see you. We hear you.
I was having a technical difficulty there. It depends. Like, there's some fish that I just can't keep. Right. Like guppies. I cannot keep guppies to save my skin, and I think that's because my water is so soft. I can keep endlers actually, oddly. But
Really?
guppies never do well for me. So I have tried to add things to the water in terms of buffering it, and it hasn't gone great, if I'm honest with you. With plants, though, again, so I was having trouble with crips. Crips do not do well for me whatsoever. And there's a guy, Arnold from King's Aquariums in Antweld, I think it is. Very lovely fellow. Does all his videos with his kids and stuff. He sent me some giant valve for my big jewel Rio, so I was determined that I was going to do well with that. So I actually ended up adding a layer of coral sand to my big jewel Rio, and the crips just reacted amazing. And I'm like, why weren't we doing this earlier, man? They started sprouting like no one's business. Yeah, they've done really, really well. No, so I would for that to lower the pH. So I've had Wild Better in the past from Frank's Betters. I don't know if you know Frank's Betters from Thailand. Wonderful, wonderful breeder.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah, yeah.
Heard of 'em.
Some stunning fish. He sent me some fish once, so I had those, and obviously most cichlids. I think I have to add tannins and catappa leaves and stuff to try and bring the pH down for them.
Like, what is your TDS out of tap?
This is like literally zero. I actually
Wow.
did a wee test earlier on, and I've lost it, man. I didn't want to do a liquid one because I'll end up knocking it across Mrs. DK's laptop,
Are
right?
you,
But
are
I
you
did
on
one
a
of them
well
to show
or is
you.
it city water? Just
Say that
curious.
again, sorry.
Are you on a well or is it city water?
No, it's just city water. It's just city water, but it's because I'm
Wow.
up in
That's
Scotland here.
amazing.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky that way. I must admit. Yeah. So I've
Got
got
it.
I got some of those Dark Night Rams the other day.
Oh,
Not the finest example of them, but they're pretty good. So obviously I'm doing everything I can to make them work. Do you know what I mean? So there's stuff getting added, catappa leaves getting added to the water, and I'm checking that every day. Saying I don't chase numbers, I might keep an eye on that one because I really would like to do well with them.
Oh, yeah.
And my Acaras that I bred recently, my electric blue Acaras, they needed the lower pH to get into the mood, if you like. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I do add stuff to the water if I think it's necessary. But what I try to do as well is buy local, because obviously if something's bred
They're already
local,
acclimated.
I'm more used to my water already. Right?
right.
And it's great. So like, I don't know how you guys find it, but around here, you meet a breeder and you go and visit, and you get with the idea of buying some fish from him and stuff. You end up there for half a day chatting and all the rest of it, and then he gives you 2 or 3 other contacts, and you go and find another
Yep.
breeder. Do you know? So that's how I ended up with those endlers. Right enough, I went over to buy some. I think it was Pleco caves off a guy once, and ended up doing 3 more visits to his pal and walking away with some beautiful endlers, you know. So this is why I can't live stream. I can't remember where I started this conversation.
Oh, this whole group in the chat are totally used to.
Yep.
You're doing great to me because I don't
We're
even know
all over
what
the place, so it's all good.
Yeah, we're that way, and I'm the worst one or the best one at it. So, but there are a couple questions in the chat I can ask you. That'll give us some direction. How about that?
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Aussie Aquatics says, "What selection of fish does Scotland have to choose from?"
Grey ones, dark grey ones, light grey ones. Do you know, I'm being a little bit unfair. We have a place near me called Loch Tom. It's a driveway, but it's like a public aquarium kind of thing, but it's all fish from the local area, you know. So you do see some nice ones. You've got like all kinds of dogfish. Trying to think what else they've got. They've actually got otters. They got an otter enclosure that came from Scotland, I do believe. And there are some fish that are not quite grey, but generally, it's not Florida around here.
Are you allowed to collect fish from your local areas and keep them?
Yeah, you would be able to. Yeah, If
That's because they're all
you wouldn't know. you just wouldn't. I found a fish on a beach not long ago. A butterfish, I do believe it was called. That was ever so pretty, but you would have to, I would think, you'd have to maybe what do you call it? Like replicate the tides and the changing temperatures and stuff like that. If you wanted to keep something like that, I think. Because that's how I noticed them, because they come up into the shallows when the tide's in, and then they go out to the deeper water when the tide's out. Obviously looking for the food that does the same thing, you know. But then they've got to be careful because of the seagulls, you know. So they end up getting trapped in wee pools, and then they try to get back because then the seagulls get them, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing.
Do you have salt water?
So where I stay is a bit like I don't know what you call it, where the river meets the sea kind of thing.
Water.
All right. So we're probably just at the cusp, but obviously all around the coast is salt water, but there's not much inland. I don't think.
Chewy wants to know if there are any good pet shops in Glasgow.
Well, so my favourite circuit, I've got a wee circuit that I do, is I've jumped into a place called Maidenhead Aquatics up in Dobbies because they've always got the good range, but they got the nice prices that go with it, right?
Yeah.
So you go there because then you know that the fish are in the area, and then you go to the weir stores trying to find the fish that you want for the right price, isn't it? No, so I particularly do like. There's a place called Waterworld Aquatics. That I've been going to for years now. You know, when you walk into a shop and people know their fish and they've got all the time in the day to talk about them with you, that just brilliant, isn't it? That's your day sorted, you know. So yeah, keep their tanks well. Always got good stuff in, and they'll get you what you can't find. You know what I mean? So probably that would be one of my favourites. Depends what you're looking for as well. I mean, here, I think the shops tend to be a bit smaller than they are in the US. I think most things are. I think houses, you tend to have more area. I think it's the same with the stores, right? So I find there's shops that maybe are good for looking for the tanks you want, and there's good for shops that you're looking for plants. Maybe is better than other places, but you don't seem to get one shop that's perfect for it for all. So you got to go around them all, haven't you? Well, I tell myself that because I like going around them all. So yeah, so there are some cool ones. There are some really nice, good ones, but you gotta spend a day getting around them all. I think. You know?
Fanaticals asked, heading out to buy some corridoras, any recommendations? And that can be for anybody on the panel or in the chat even.
Oh, I got a lot of ideas.
I thought you would.
Well,
I
and
got a lot of
Fanaticals
ideas
is
yesterday.
close to Daniel too, because they picked up on. They knew he wasn't originally from Scotland by his tone broke.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think
Yeah, I'm from London originally. I can't remember if I said that. Yeah, London originally, but I've been here for 20 years now. So I've not shifted the accent, but I picked up some of the words. So I do say I and he and who's and that. So when I go home, my brother, as soon as I've been talking, he goes, "What?" He takes the mickey out of me and that, you know. And then I come back here and I take the mickey here too. I get it for both ends. So yeah, London originally, and then up here for 20 years now, like I say. Mm-hmm. So the question though, do you not think maybe corridor is a bit like everyone's got their own favourites that they like? You know, you speak to one person and they say, "Oh, it's got to be gold lasers," and you speak to somebody else and it's got to be black Venezuelans, and you get to somebody else and it's got to be this. I think it's a personal thing, to be honest with you. I would say
I'd agree.
look up the different corridors and pick the one you like and go and find it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because there's some cooler water Cory cats, and there's some ones that
Right.
like warmer water.
There's some that are smaller. There's smaller Corys. There's larger. Just research the ones they like, what that you like, and that you can make work with your water and your temps.
My favorite are stir by.
Oh, they're pretty cool.
Oh, you should have seen the ones we saw yesterday at Mitchell's Fish Room.
Oh my goodness, I'm
gosh.
so
He had
jealous.
everything. It was impossible to try and talk about them. There's so many.
I used
Was
to
that
read
Mitchell
stir-bys.
Broom? Was that the videos that you put up the other day, Bob? Yeah.
Yeah, some of those are.
What would see in his display tank? The wee colourful fish. I didn't quite catch that. But I've seen them.
Somebody help me.
Those are the cichlids.
No, yes, they're the killies. They're the killies that look like rainbows.
They were
The
stunning.
ones in the display tank out front. Bless her heart, Ginger Graves worked him for 2 hours and she didn't get any from him though. I mean, worked hard.
Valiant effort, Ginger.
Yeah. Well, they may have made a deal on some eggs later on to be mailed, but yeah, she was awesome. She tried.
That's the way you do killies most of the time, anyways, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, order eggs.
Yeah. PM Aquatics commented on that display tank and named the fish, but I can't remember what it is. So, but beautiful, gorgeous fish.
They were amazing, really stunning. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that. Appreciate it. Okay. He is from my dad's side of the world. Okay, from London. Looking for,
Oh, is that Chewy? Is that Chewy? All right, we'll
yeah, it's Chewy. Looking for any other questions or comments. I don't see any.
So Daniel, what type of fish do you really keep or that you're really interested in? And do you breed any right now?
I'll tell you what, my favorite tank at the moment is it's the most recent one that I set up. I've got kind of dragonstone. I've made a cave out of dragonstone with a blue background, plants, and it's got emerald dwarf raspberry at the top, and scarlet baddis at the bottom. And I love scarlet baddis.
Love the scarlet baddis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Took me a long
Are they little
time to
fight
find them.
machines? Are they little fight machines for you? The baddest?
A wee bit. Well, I managed to get.
Spicy?
I think they're reasonably hard to sex because I think you get like false males.
Mostly males.
Mm-hmm. So I think I've got a few females and a couple of males, but it might not quite be like that. No. So one of them has definitely started a wee harem. I think they like to have a couple of ladies in their corner kind of thing. No. So he's boss of the cave entrance, and his two ladies kind of hang out each side of the cave.
Wow, okay.
It's fascinating, yeah. The thing
That's
with
really
Scarlet
lucky if
Badger-
you have a female. You're really lucky if you got females because supposedly they're really hard to come by.
Oh, they are. Well, like I said, I tried a long time to get them. I had males before, but couldn't get the females. So once I think I found some females, that's when went for the males as well, and I'm gonna try my best to hopefully breed them. I'd like to breed them, but we'll see. But the other thing with baddies is, of course, they're fussy eaters. They prefer the live food. I know some people have got them onto pellets eventually, but I think if they want the live food, give them the live food, you know. So that's another fascinating thing. See, once you start getting into live food cultures, I quite enjoy messing about with those. I feel a wee bit like a scientist with all my wee box of different ones, checking on their progress every day and stuff, and making sure they've got what they need. So I keep grinder worms and microworms and brine shrimp. I want to get into vinegar eels next. I've never tried doing that, you know. But yeah, I even find that fascinating. That's another way of anything that you end up spending time on the hobby, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's how this whole thing started, because I can't remember how long. I can't remember when I started this, to be honest with you. But it was, if you remember, one of the bigger, Aquarium Co-op was doing home tank show or something like that. So people would send in their videos, and he'd merge a load together and he'd put a video out, right? So I did that just because I thought, that'd be cool if I see my tank on YouTube. And then I kind of thought, I quite enjoy doing that, you know? So I think it was a few months after that, I was trying to find out if you can keep cherry shrimp in a community tank. And there was very, very not a lot of reliable information about it, put it that way. So I thought, I'm going to just try it and see what happens, you know, which I think you need to do a lot in this hobby, you know, suck it and see how things turn out. And I learned a lot about it, and then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put a video out helping people out with that, because if I'm wondering about it, then somebody else is going to be wondering about it, and I can actually show them what I've done here. And it just blew up. That video it's definitely my most viewed video, and I couldn't tell you how many. I don't look, but it was like over 100,000, if not double that, you know. But again, it was because it was kind of a longer video, I had to do a wee bit of editing and a wee bit of this and a wee bit of that. I was like, this is quite good fun. I'm enjoying this. So I'm not particularly artistic or creative in many ways, but I certainly found that making the videos kind of stimulated my creative gene and satisfied my creative desire, if you like, you know. So that's how all this started. Just through doing that.
I keep blue dreams in a community tank.
I'm struggling to hear you, pal.
I keep blue dreams in a community tank. I mean, and
Nice as well, blue dreams. They got to be one of my favourite, I think. Definitely,
Yeah, they don't. Now I know there is some predation, but for the most part, my population is doing okay. They don't explode, but I do keep them together. They do okay.
Your sound's a lot better now, Stephanie. You must have been away from the mic a little or something.
Yeah, I'm doing my AirPods and trying a different method.
Yeah, I know.
Can you guys hear me though?
Yeah,
I can hear you now, Steph. Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
much better.
Sorry.
Pam is asking Daniel, are most of the fish available in Scotland imported or bred there?
I think you'll find most of them. Most are imported. Certainly, the ones you get in the shops, the majority of them are imported. And the only way I know that is because they all turn up at the same time. You know, delivery day is when all the tanks get filled up. You do have people coming in and bringing in their fish, but the breeders that I've met certainly tend to be quite specialized. So I know a guy that does endless, not far from me. I know another guy that does Plecos. I know another guy that does Corys and stuff, you know. So you can get certainly homebred fish, but I think you tend to know what you're looking for when you go for them. In the stores, I've never really asked, in fact, where the fish come from. I tend to, you know, which day is delivery day for each of the stores, so you go like a couple of days after, because obviously you do get some die off no matter what happens. I don't think any of the stores like to see your big box store. I don't want to talk down about them because I think my big box store is very, very, very good, but they get delivered on a Wednesday, they're on sale on a Thursday kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? There's not like a quarantine period or anything like that.
Right.
You know? And when you get to know so that's when I tend to go into the stores, is when delivery day has expired. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for, to be honest with you. I could have told a world full of crebensis a couple of years back. Tried breeding them to see how that would go, and I couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
So yeah, once they start, you can't stop them. Then once you sell them to the fish store, and you try to give them more, and it's like, we still have the ones you already gave us.
You hook them out and take them to the shop, and when you get back, they're looking at you're sitting on another big brood like, you didn't even have time for that, you know?
Oh yeah.
And they're sneaky. They really are.
Oh yeah.
Chewy says there are fish that you can get in the UK that we can't get in the US.
Oh.
Is he talking about his
Tana?
His snakeheads, I think.
Yeah.
Well, did somebody, one of the fish groups, right enough that has got some beautiful snakeheads, and I was looking into that. But I think you have to kind of dedicate a big tank to them. And what I was reading is they don't get on too well together once they're sexually mature. They'll kind of pair up, and then the other snakeheads are toast. No, so I don't know if I want to dedicate a big tank to them, but they are certainly very impressive. And it was Chewy ages and ages and ages back first opened my eyes to them, so it has been on my mind ever since. So yeah, you might see snakeheads on the DKF channel if I lose control of myself.
Yeah.
What?
I nearly messaged the guy and says, "Look, are you planning to breed them and stuff? You know?" But I'm trying to hold myself back. I'm trying to.
What fish?
Mickham said,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to read that comment. Mickham says Strathclyde is a great breeder.
Strathclyde. Well, I've not heard of Strathclyde myself, but I'm assuming it's around here because it sounds like it is. I need to look that up. Strathclyde.
Go ahead, Eric. Was it Eric?
Yeah, it was me. I was going to ask, as far as like fish you guys are allowed to keep and we're not, or vice versa, like what kind of fish are you not allowed to keep in Scotland? Like that are banned, like you couldn't get them even if you tried.
I've never looked too much into that, to be honest with you. In fact, Chewy probably knows more about that than myself. You know,
Right.
It's one of those things. I've never ran into a fish that I'm not allowed to get that I was wanting. Do you know what I mean? So it probably wouldn't be on my radar, and I don't spend a lot of time looking into bans. I did when Chewy and I were speaking to it many moons ago. I did look through the entire list, but there was nothing that stood out that I thought, oh, can't live without that. Do you know?
I just because we have a lot here, like the snakehead being one of them, and I mean piranha in most states, I think maybe even all are banned now. You know. Oh, I think he's muted or something.
Hey, he says that there's a guy in Glasgow that's selling killifish eggs on an aqua bed that's calling himself Strathclyde. That's who he's talking about.
I found myself once I started, when I got my first master test kit, it was sort of like being back in science lab. All you little bits and everything. That was fun. And I too enjoyed the video editing. So much more than just, shooting it and putting it out there. I love doing the editing.
I just like talking about the hobby. I don't care if it's on camera or just if I go to the fish store and see a friend there or something. I just like talking about it.
Right. If I knew how to move you, Daniel, away from the logo, I would. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got Taylor's logo right on your forehead.
I'm like the fourth week, and Ed's going to send me. He told me again yesterday he was going to send me the Tennessee Fish Mafia logo, and it's got a clear background to put there. But so I'll just take that one down, I guess, after the stream. I always say that and I forget, so I'm sorry about that.
Hey, Daniel, I think you muted your mic.
Yeah. You are muted, Daniel.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, maybe if you take me down and bring me back up, it switches.
There it is. We can hear you now.
There you go.
All right.
Take you down and bring you back up.
Yeah,
should I go out
and
and come back in? You want me to go out and come back in?
Oh, there we go. That's better.
I've got her. Yeah, because I took Dee Dee out.
Yeah, because I'm outside and it's dark here, so it's not even there anymore.
Oh, you're going to hide in the dark behind my
Susie's in the cover of darkness.
Yeah. Finally got it figured out.
She's so mysterious. Well, I saw that y'all have something called wood shrimp. Is that what we call bamboo shrimp? Because they look like wood to me.
I think it's the same thing. I think they have a few different names, don't they? Singapore shrimp, bamboo, wood, rock shrimp. I've heard them called. Same. Okay. I think they're the same thing. Yeah. Wonderful wee things, aren't they?
I've got 6 of them. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
They're really cool.
The thing with them is you got to. It goes against what you learn, isn't it? You've got to make sure there's enough debris and stuff floating in your water column to feed them. No, whereas we're told keep the water pristine for most things. We're now saying no, like you got to keep it dirty. Make sure they're getting enough to eat. But I'll tell you what. That was right. So wood shrimp would have been one of my first shrimp that I tried, and completely forgot the fact that they molt like any other shrimp, right? So one of the days, the first time I found a wood shrimp molt, I pure panicked. I'm like, my shrimp needs.
It's huge. It's very large.
And then somebody was like, hold on, that's your shrimp there. I'm like, oh my, so they molt, didn't they?
I think the bamboo shrimp was like their shrimp.
Yeah, they're cool. I've seen them, but I haven't had any.
Now, don't their eggs require brackish water to hatch out or
That's
whatever?
Right.
You have to do something special. Now, I had a female that was carrying lots of eggs, but I never had time to, and the smarts to set up a little separate thing for them.
Well, Amano shrimp are a good shrimp to keep with them because they're the same. They're their eggs don't hatch unless it's in brackish water, doesn't it? So what they'll do is release the larvae into the water, and then the wood shrimp can grab them out and eat it. You know what I mean? So call it, what is it, a symbiotic relationship, they call that, isn't it?
Okay.
I learned some big words when I was in school and I kept them.
What are your plans for the hobby for keeping fish? What fish are you looking for? What do you want to do with your fish?
Right, so at the moment, it's the wrong time to tell this story when you've just been invited on a live stream with all you guys. But one of my last videos is shutting a few tanks down, actually, because I don't know how things are going there, but here the prices are going all crazy with power bills and stuff like that. So it's a bit of an uncertain time for everybody. So as a wee precaution, I've kind of shut down a few tanks, actually, with a view that hopefully it'll level out in the next wee while and I'll get them back up and running anyway, right? So long term, I said to you earlier, kick them teenagers out, build my room back up, get my fish sorted again.
Right.
Short term, I really am going to be focusing on them Scarlet Baddis. I'm really excited about those. Gonna see what I can do with those Black Knights.
They should do good with your water. I would think.
Sorry?
I would think they would do really well in your water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're thriving already. I think the thing with them is somebody said, well, first of all, since somebody says once they pair up, take everybody else out of the tank, right, which is fine, that's no problem. And then I think half of the fry, if you do get fry, are black and half are gold. So then you have to raise them for like 3 weeks and then separate them and stuff, you know. So it's quite an interesting wee project actually with those. The Scarlet Baddies is going to be interesting, I think. But again, like I said earlier on, I'm quite easily distracted. And this is why, right? So who was I talking to the other day? Somebody else online on one of your streams, and somebody was on about the pythons. See, like the water change systems.
Oh yeah.
I know who it was. It was somebody else, right? And I says, I do things by bucket. I don't want a python. I wouldn't thank you for a python at this stage, right? What I said at the time is, to me, it takes the romance out of it, right? And what I mean by that is, with buckets, you're looking at your tank more. You're spending time with your tank more. It's a slower process, all right? It gets your back sorer, but it's a bit more. You notice what's going on, right? So that's exactly what will happen. I try to do all my water changes on a Sunday, right? I try my best, and what should take an hour with one tank is normally double that, because you're like, oh, all right, okay, look, I've just spotted this, I've just seen this and that, you know.
Yeah.
So what is my main focus right now? Talking to you guys might be different come Sunday.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't intend to buy either of those two groups of fish I bought yesterday at that club, that auction, but nobody wanted them, basically. And I even bought Ed a fish. I'm like, I'm getting that fish for you. And he's happy with it. He messaged me and thanked me. It's a big Sevrum, great big green Sevrum.
Oh,
Nobody
wow.
wanted it. I got it for $5. That's $100 fish all day
Oh
long.
wow.
And
I'm
was-
itching to do Severums, Bob. Itching. And I nearly, last time I went up to Glasgow, did it. But because I love my planted tanks too much, it's a bit of a wrench for me. And
Yeah.
I know they'll make salad
Yeah,
out of a planted
they'll
tank.
just-
They will. They
They'll
love greens.
destroy a planet tank.
Yeah, they love greens, but they'll eat all the duckweed you'll give them too. They love duckweed. I mean,
I even
anything green.
when I had Severums, I had the silk plants in mine, and they destroyed my silk plants.
Did they?
Well, I've got silk back here, but so far they have.
They nip at my plastic plants too.
Yeah, yeah.
I better keep the duckweed coming. Then they haven't bothered mine yet, but they get all the duckweed every couple
I didn't
days.
realize they would eat the duckweed, and I should throw some.
Oh
in.
God, they love it. That they poop green. They eat so much of it. Yeah.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
that's
I think-
why they're
I think-
not
I think
eating their
that's all.
plants. They got plenty of greens.
That's definitely the fish that I would most love to keep and just can't actually.
They're awesome. I love Severums. It's one of
They
my
are.
favorites.
Well, I just got 4 new ones like 3 months ago, and they're starting to grow out. They're not quite palm size back there, but the last thing I needed was a great old big.
I'll tell you what. The red shoulder, when it's full grown and fully colored up, that's one of the prettiest ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is that the same name as a rock keel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Or the rock keels. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
they just had
They're
this
all
one.
nice. They're all nice though. The
They're
red
all-
spotted and the greens. They're all lovely.
But you know, they're like dogs or cats. Any of them that are not a specific breed are mutts. That's if you
Yeah.
Right,
Eric knows they're all mutts, and unless they're like something that somebody's bred, line bred down. But the one yesterday, they just had it listed as a green Severum. But after we got it, Ed wanted it sexed, so it's a boy. I looked at it, in the bag, and could sex it well enough. But I think it's a red spot turquoise. It wasn't a green Severum, so that's a nice fish.
They also have a mouth brooding Severum too.
Yes.
Yeah, the red mouth brooder.
Hmm?
They don't do it quite like Africans. I think they hatch the eggs, and then after the eggs hatch is when they put it all in their mouth, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
So they load them up in the bus and take them on field trips.
Yeah. I had a pair, but I never got them to breed before I sold them to a friend of mine. So I never got to see them in action. But
So that's me telling you guys I can't keep Severums. You spent the last 10 minutes trying to talk me into it, then, isn't it? I'll be getting Severums on Sunday.
Forget about tearing down a tank.
well, now you gotta get Severums.
They really are super South American cichlids. They're my favorite. They really are. And Nickam says that Severum's never touched his swordtails, but that might be a taste thing. I've heard that Anubias, and it's just a rumor. I may have researched it. Swordtails. There's a couple of those plants that really taste nasty. So the swordtail may be one of them. I don't know personally. They've always shredded all my plants. So.
A taste test is required.
Right. Yeah.
And their plecos love to eat swords.
Yeah.
Do you know that was my most wanted fish for a long time? A Greek green phantom pleco.
Oh yeah.
For many years, but they're very expensive here. So eventually, I finally got one. I got there. I think it was my mum actually gave us some money for my birthday, and I was like, "All right, I'm going to treat myself."
Nice.
And I think I've seen about a quarter of an inch of his tail ever since, just sticking out of a wee log. I think he just comes out at night and he hears me come in and he's back in,
Yeah,
So
if you ever want to see your Pleco, see it. Go in at night.
Quick,
trying to wee torching. I'll need to. It was my most sought after fish. It was my most most expensive fish, and it's the one I've seen the least ever.
My Pleco won't eat my swords if you feed. Yeah, I think some of it is giving them something else to fill them up or to kind of help satisfy that. So we've got the notification that we've got a little bit less than 5 minutes. So we'll start wrapping it up. And any last thought or comment, Daniel, that you want to give us?
Just considering I was a little bit nervous and a little bit shy, it made us feel very, very welcome and comfortable. And
Good.
thanks to everybody that came out and asked questions and stuff. I really have enjoyed it. So
Good.
really appreciate it. And it's nice to speak to some of you guys in person that I've spoke to in text before and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So nice. It's been a really nice evening. Thank you.
You did an awesome.
Coming up. It was very nice to see you and talk to you.
And you did an awesome job.
Yes.
I think. You did a great job. I'd love to have you back sometime.
Thanks.
Not next week, but maybe later in the summer. So
yeah, that'd be cool. I'll be down for that.
Awesome, great.
He's going to come back on and tell us how great he's done breeding the black rams.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And he'll have a Severum tank all set up.
That's right.
So you're going to You're gonna have to show us your Severn tank too.
You know that's happening. You know that's happening. All
See,
right.
I met Daniel off of Sharpie's channel, and I like to do a lot of the DIY and all that stuff too. So that's what I found so fascinating, because you have so many things out there to to stimulate.
Oh, thanks, Dee Dee. Yeah. Well, like I said, that's me working my way through the hobby. It's the things that it tends to be whatever's interested me at the time that I share. So yeah, if I think of any mad schemes or anything that might work, I always give it a go and share it. And some of the times they work out, eh?
Yeah. Thank you so much, though.
Yeah,
No
I love
bother.
your videos. I love them.
Oh, thanks, Bob. Thanks so much, man.
All right. Thank you again, Daniel. Much appreciated and very enjoyable and informative. And thank the panel. Is that Susie hiding in the dark? It is Susie.
Yeah, she's in the government witness protection plan.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Check out these channels. This panel is awesome, guy. We have a couple people out tonight. Life happens. But Susie Q is Q Aquatics and Aquaria Life. Stephanie Scudder Aquaria Life up there. And Eric Furlow is Furlow's Aquatics. And Sketchy is Punchy Paints. And Dee Dee Dunn is Dee Dee's Fish Den. Fin Den.
Fin Den.
Yeah. So check everybody out. And thank you guys in the chat. Great questions and great participation and comments. Love you guys. And Kenny, I believe, is streaming next.
And Roxanne is going to be on with Kenny tonight.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, let's head over there. I was looking for a link, but I don't see one. But I think he is. You just said he was. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Thanks for staying up, Daniel. Much
Good night.
appreciated.
Right, everybody.
No worries. Thanks, everybody.